This is LadyMyya. Hello, you guys. We are back with another podcast. Okay, so we have company once again and always. So if you don't know, now you know. All right. So I had this wonderful gentleman. Like we clicked right away. He's a podcaster as well and an author, y'all. And he's gonna tell us about his business, what he's doing, why he's doing it, and what he is looking forward to doing in the future, you guys. So my Mayan tribe, please welcome Mr. TreyStyles.
Thank you very much.
I love it.
What's up, Myya tribe?
Yes, the tribe has spoken. I'm
All right.
just kidding.
Right. So we say in Detroit, we say, "What up, though?"
Okay. What is the name of your business, beloved?
Well, I'm a self-published author, and name of my book is Black Boy Rise. That's the name of my book, and I became a self-published author because I wanted to basically share my story with the world about me growing up in Detroit, Michigan. And growing up in Detroit, Michigan, it was tough, but it's still a good place, but it's a tough place. And I went through a lot of ups and downs coming up in my city. And I remember as a teenager, I went through a very deep-seated depression. And at that time in my life, I was faced with very difficult circumstances. I contemplated suicide. The only thing that stopped me from committing suicide was one, I didn't want to leave my mom. Two, I was afraid to do it. And three, I was brought up at that time to believe that if you committed suicide, you would go to hell. So, and what got me in my deep-seated depression is that I witnessed a fatal shooting as a teenager, and I had to go to trial, and that was very, very close to home. And writing became an escape for me. Writing became my passion. And so, as a teenager, I started writing heavily. I even started writing raps as well. But from there, I went on to graduate high school. But I remember being in my graduation and walking across the stage, and my teacher saying, "Congratulations, future writer." That's what she said. And years later, I got back into what I was passionate about, and I became an author. Initially, my book was published to a self-publishing house, but I eventually got all rights to my work because I wanted to have total control of my works, and because I wanted to turn my book eventually into a film and possibly a play. And there you have it. That's what my business is right now, with my book, self-publishing.
That is dope, yo. For sure. I mean, to know at a young age in that spectrum, things are just getting started when you graduate,
Yeah.
And for someone to just speak that over your life and you move on it and do it, and now look at you, you're doing it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you know what? I have a question because
Okay.
I get silly and I can laugh, but at the same time, sisters can be serious when
For sure.
she needs to be. So, how did that make you feel hearing what she said to you?
Wow. It felt good. It felt real good because my teenage years were the lowest point of my life. Like I said, it's not normal to witness a fatal shooting like that. And growing up in places, I know you grew up in Philly and Detroit. Our cities are similar, tough places to grow up in. But it's not every day we see somebody getting shot. Now you could be on the block and might see somebody out there laid out in yellow tape, but actually seeing it, that's a whole nother dynamic. And I was paranoid and everything. But getting to that point where she said, "Congratulations, future writer," it felt good because a lot of times I was battling low self-esteem. For somebody to invest in you and really believe in you, it feels really good. a lot of people in my family wasn't really supportive of me. My mom was my number one supporter, but we a product of our environment. So I mean, when I was like 15, she gave me some money for my birthday, and I went to Truth Bookstore. Truth Bookstore was a African centered bookstore in Southfield, Michigan, which is a suburb right outside of Detroit. So I went in there and bought some books, and then I came back with my books, and mom said, "What you get for your birthday?" I said, "I bought these books." She said, "You bought some books?" She said, "You bought some books?" And it's not to try to talk down on her because I like, yeah, my uncle told me I was gay when I was 17 because I read books. So not having a lot of people supporting you and then having people invest in you when they saw that you're on the right path and that you're different from a lot of the young men that's around you meant the most to me. You know, I remember being in fifth grade. I went to fifth grade, never had no male teachers until I got to fifth grade, and I met this male teacher named Mr. Martin, a black man, intelligent man. He was very serious, and he was on us about being serious. And prior to that, I had never really met a guy like that in my life. You know, and I reconnected with him. I gave him one of my books and told him what he meant to me. He said, "I appreciate that," and we still connected to this day. But when that teacher told me that, it gave me, hope, a lot more hope, because even in my high school years, when I got back on the right path, as far as like getting my grades up, because I would do a lot of reading outside because I was up and down in high school, because it's like what I was learning in high school wasn't motivating. When I got home, I got a chance to read about my history and self-development and all that, and that was more encouraging to me. So that meant the world to me. And in 12th grade, that same teacher was also the teacher when I had got a gun pulled on me in high school. I was walking up because I went to that school. It was a newer school. I left my school that I had went through most my high school, time. And I was walking up the steps, and this guy had put his hand on me, like pushing me, and I knocked his hand down. He's like, "Don't do that, dog. Don't do that." I was like, "What's up, then?" And he didn't want to do nothing. It was just me and him. So as I'm walking up the steps, I noticed his friends got behind him. He's like, "Excuse, I don't know what language he said. I'm about to put a hole in this N." That's what he said. This N word. I'm about to put a hole in this N word. And I knew I was about to fight, so I went upstairs and I dropped my books and everything. And I turned around. He had pulled out a gun in the school. Pulled out a gun on me, and I looked at him, and shockingly, because I had been through some things, I was very surprised. But I said, "Put the gun down." And he just looked. He was like surprised that I didn't run anything. But how the school was made, him and the guys was just standing right there. So another guy came around. Then he struck me, and they rushed me. And you can't do too much after that. so and I was 3 days away from senior penny when that happened. And the weird thing about that day is it's weird how a lot of things in my life happen. Like I said, I feel like it was always some spiritual thing around me, because when I got jumped that day, 4 years before on that same day was the day that I had witnessed that fatal murder. So it was weird, and I had just turned 18, and then my mom was asking me, "Do you think that was the people, or it was the family?" And because that what happened was close to home then, that incident. And I was like, "I don't know, I don't think." And I said, maybe it could be just God or the Creator giving me some kind of message as I'm going into manhood or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that teacher, the English teacher, came to me when she saw they had jumped. My pride was hurt too. It took a lot for me not to even cry, because I had just turned 18. I felt real violated because I wasn't bothering nobody. I didn't bother nobody at all. I was just in my school, feeling good, about to graduate, about to go on with my life. And that happened. And she was there. She came and said they beneath him. And then she was like, "I would press charges on him," telling my mom that. My mom came to the school, my cousin, and she was like, "I'm really pissed off. I'm really pissed off." And of course, how families are. They want to come up there and tear things up. So, but I was like, "No, I don't do that." And then a couple of days later, and I said, I also remember a police officer telling me, like, "Don't drop out of school, brother." He's like, it was a black man. He said, "Brother, don't drop out of school. You held your own. They the cowards. They the punks.
Mm-hmm.
When you covered up after they start stumping, that's all you could do was that's all you can do is somebody rushing you like that. And it took a lot. It really kind of ruined that year for me, because that was a real good year. And that happened. So from there, my English teacher came and told me they beneath you, and my mom told me that she wanted to press charges. So we went to the police station, and they said you can't press charges for him because he's 18. And she asked me if I want to press charges, and I said no. And she was like, she smacked her lips like, why? But of course, being where we from, why I didn't want to press charges.
Exactly.
Right. We don't do that. You suck it up. That's how my thinking was at that time.
Right.
I just deal with it.
You should have been alright. Yeah, that's what
right.
they tell you.
And then the word snitch been taken out of what it originally meant. So I'll be a snitch. I was violated, and I'm a citizen. So so from there, that teacher encouraged me. She said, "Congratulations, future writer." She was there for me when I went through that. I actually went back and visited her a couple years after that, and that meant the most to me because she also told me I could write for the newspaper. And so from there, I went to college at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. It's in Midtown Detroit. And I was going to be a journalist initially, but then I changed majors like most of us do. And I majored in political science because I was going to be a lawyer. But then after doing that, I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. So from there, I went to graduate school and got an MPA, a Master's of Public Administration at Wayne State University. From there, I went to being a youth counselor, then to being a financial aid officer, then to writing my book. So I came full circle and got my purpose back along with my podcast, Black Man Talk. And in a way, I'm doing what I was destined to do, because in a way, I'm a journalist on my podcast, and I'm an author with my book, Black Boy Rise.
I love that. Okay, y'all, I know y'all listen to this guy's story, and y'all might just kind of be blown away by what y'all hearing, because, when you get stories like this, you feel closer to home sometime, or just feel like, wow, you went through that. It's a shell shock for other people to even hear about something like that. You hear stuff all on the news all the time, but to hear that somebody actually went through it and see that they had to deal with so much just to get to this point, or years later, that you can still do things, and regardless of what you go through, you still have to persevere. And you showing that perseverance is going to give people the light that don't have light usually on a good day. Like him saying, like, we both grew up in not so great areas, whereas like things like this was normal. Unfortunately, still kind of is, if not worse, So it's just, when kids tell you about stuff and they need to talk or what have you, just be that ear, because you never know what they're really going through, thinking, one, two, if they're going to harm themselves or others. So if you can let them let it out so that they don't have to deal with it alone, it's a big deal. Why is it so taboo for Black people to go and talk to somebody like a professional? Like, I don't understand. For so long, it was told if you saw somebody about your feelings, you were soft, or we just don't do that. We don't tell nobody our business. But we can't say anything to our parents or our family. All they're going to do is shake it off, but they're not dealing with what you're dealing with and how you're dealing with it. So if you can have somebody that is a professional that can actually walk you into a safer place and feeling like, okay, if I could just talk this, because like sometimes all it takes is just for you to hear your own voice and the things that you're going through, and you can actually make sense of a lot of the feelings that you have if you can blurt them out and just speak your truth. It's just one of those things. So I agree
with that. I agree with everything you said, because I'm a man now, and I'm in therapy right now. And I tell you, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding, because sometimes you overcome so much and don't even realize things are still affecting you.
Right.
as an adult, and it still stems from your childhood. You'd be
Mm.
amazed.
Isn't
Yeah, you'd be amazed because I done discovered a lot more about myself and realized things that I thought I had dealt with, and I still need to deal with.
yeah. It's difficult. I don't. You know, of course, we can smile, we can laugh, we can do all those things, but you never know what's in the back of somebody's subconscious mind.
Hmm.
You know, how we think about it, or what we're pondering. Like my husband, he cannot sleep at night at all, like
Hmm.
ever. And he'll be like,
Hmm.
"Man, I put everything to bed." No, you did not. you know, and he'll in his mind, it's it's done, but that's not what subconscious says. Your
Hmm.
subconscious can tell you a whole lie.
Yeah,
And be like,
for
all right,
real.
I'm gonna deal with this. You go ahead. mm, I think this thing is gonna harbor its head and it ain't gonna be nice.
No, Lady Myya, and I can relate to that because I probably sleep a little bit better when I take naps during the day.
Exactly.
Even now, it's gotten better. But I know as a kid coming up, when I
Mm-hmm.
was living in a home, it was so many people there, and everything was going on in the home. And I want you to understand that I had a lot of people that did love me. I had grandmas and mom, but it still was a lot of dysfunction that went on. With alcoholism, and
Right.
people being on drugs, and
Yeah.
people, selling drugs. All that was around me. So it's like a lot of times, you know, in the middle of the night, people coming in and out. I'm
Mm,
hearing gunshots. You
yeah.
know, I'm
It's nuts.
fussing, and people knocking on the door. They drunk. All these
Don't
things,
you hate
you
that?
know, affect you.
Yeah.
And so
No, I'm with
sometimes at nighttime, our senses are heightened because we don't know what may happen. We got to worry
right.
about people trying to break break in or something. I
Right.
remember when I was young, it was around Christmas time, man.
Yes.
we used to we used
That was
to
always when it was
yeah,
busy, right?
yeah, we sit, me and my family, we was sitting in the front room. We had the Santa Claus on the porch, the light up Santa Claus.
Yeah. Oh
Somebody tried to
gosh.
steal the Santa
That's
Claus.
that's like advertisement right there. It was like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
they
Somebody
got
tried to steal the
presents.
Santa
We gonna
Claus.
get their presents.
Right.
It was,
So it was weird. So all that stuff could affect the way we sleep and the way
yeah.
it's just all that stuff
Don't
has an
move,
impact.
cause
Yeah.
you don't woke up half of the people in the house. What? Wait. Did you hear something?
Right. Did you hear that? You heard that?
No, that used to wake me up more than anything. Like, oh my gosh, especially if I didn't know where I was. It
Right.
was just like, I ain't sleeping. This is just not happening. Nope.
Yeah.
I'll wait till I get home.
For real.
At least I know those gunshots. I know
See.
who Pookie
See.
and them,
Yeah.
Spanky and them. They
Yeah.
messing around. They doing
Yeah.
stuff on the back streets like they usually do. I mean, it's one thing to hear somebody else's violence, but it's a whole
Right.
nother thing to like be in it. And you're like,
Yeah.
man, my violence is not nearly as bad as your violence.
Right. That's like you have to use the restroom.
I
You
know,
go.
right now. I gotta
Right.
go home for this one.
Right. You go in there. You go in there. It's like, man, you blew it up. But then you in there blowing it up. You're like, oh, mine ain't as bad because it's you know what I'm saying? That's
it,
how it is, though. For real.
it do. It's insane what you live through. Tell us why did you decide to write this book, sir? Please.
I decided to write this book. Number one, because I became secure enough in myself to share my story with the world.
Right.
And as a youth counselor, I remember talking to some of those young men in there, and I know had a tough time coming up. But when I learned about some of their stories and what they went through, I was like, man, I didn't have it easy, man, but I had it a lot better than a lot of them had. Because I always had a mother who told me she loved me, grandmother, and still had other relatives who did love me,
Right.
despite all of the problems that went on.
Right.
Some of those boys they didn't have nobody ever told them they loved them, and the
Mm,
age range in there for the boys that was locked up was 12 to 21. It basically was this prison for young men. Some of those boys in there for murder. Some of them had been raped. Some of them committed rapes. And I was on the trauma pod, so it was layers and layers upon trauma. It was mental
Right.
illnesses I had never even heard of.
Mm.
You know, half of them was like chemically dependent.
Right.
You know, so you never know what was gonna happen when they got out in the world and they couldn't get those drugs no more.
Right.
And
Wow.
and I talked to a lot of these young men, and I talked to them about life, and it was my way of giving back because I was helping the kids that used to remind me of myself.
Right.
And I remember talking to some of the kids and how some of them were asking questions about they hope their girls not cheating on them out there. And I said, well, I have to say this: you can't really worry about that. I told them the honest truth because they have been already been exposed. I said sometimes you meet a woman and when you're locked up, depending on how long you're gone, she won't mess with nobody else. But
Mm.
then you can, you can be in there and she may mess with somebody else physically until you get out,
Mm.
and may stop it when you get out. And
Mm.
then sometimes she may mess with a guy physically while you're in there and still mess with him while you out still, and y'all together. And sometimes she just might leave you. And
Mm.
I said, my mom also told me that one day, you can meet a woman, be in love with her, and she might wake up one day inside she don't want to be with you, just like
Mm.
that. But you have to bounce back. So what I was trying to get these young men to understand is that not to minimize women, men and women need each other, but to understand that there's more to life than just a woman. You got to value yourself and find your purpose first and foremost. Because some
Right.
of them, somebody messed with their baby mama, because some of them had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody they said they would kill them. And I said,
Mm.
no, man, it's not worth that. You got to find a purpose. And
Mm.
I stress the importance of people finding a reason to live, because when you meet people like that who come from traumatic backgrounds
Mm.
and you treat them nicely, they fall in love with you. Sometimes those people don't want to let you go.
Yeah.
You might be the only person they ever love, and you
Mm.
walking away from them. You never know what they might do to you. That's a real thing.
That's true.
So I was ready to just tell my story, and I do want to say one youth I got extremely close with in there. It was a young brother named James, and he was a father too, and he was born with a fetal alcohol syndrome, I believe.
Mm.
So he had extreme anger issues, but he
Mm-hmm.
had skilled trades. He could already, put down drywall and do stuff like that. And I told him, man, you able to do some stuff I can't even do. I said, you
Right.
got skills that could feed you for life. You ain't got to be breaking in nobody's house,
Mm.
because you break in somebody's house, you can lose your life, or you never know what may happen. They family come at your family. Now you got us just killing each other once again.
Mm.
There's no healing. There's no healing getting done at all.
Mm.
But I remember, being close to them, and I eventually had to leave, because it's a very stressful job. I had to leave for my own mental health reasons because,
Right.
if I had, let's say, got aggressive with one of the kids, everything I worked hard for go down the drain. If I had children, I couldn't go on field trips with them. I
Right.
couldn't. I'll be charged as a child abuser, all that. And it
Right.
got to the point I was real calm in there, but this guy, I said, I got to leave. I got to get here. And I told him I was leaving. And you can't have contact with those kids 2 years after you leave, which
Mm.
I think is crazy because you might be the only one they ever had to really care for or take
Mm.
time off for them. So last year he was on my mind heavy. The one I got extremely close with, James. I cared about all of them. He was my advocate, and I got real close with him. And I remember he was just on my mind real heavy late last year, and I just typed in his name, and the first thing popped up was obituary.
Mm.
And it hurt me because he got murdered by another teenager when he got out. And that teenager that murdered him actually went to my old job, and the people that was working there met the guy that had murdered him.
Mm.
And it's stories like that,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes that's the reason I told my story. But
Mm-hmm.
the main thing came from my teenage years when I went through so much and growing up in an environment, being a young black man, whereas all we think it's about is being hard, it's about being tough, it's about being unfeeling, it's about how many women you sleep with, it's about how many guys you can beat up. And I went against the grain, you know. I went against all that. I wanted to be a black man that was about building, about community, and about helping my people and all that.
Right.
And I was ready to share my story. I wanted to let young men know, young black men in particular, know that you're not soft, you're not a punk because you have feelings. You're
Mm.
not weak because you fall in love. You're human. It's human to love. It's human to care.
Yeah.
You're not a punk because your heart got broken.
Mm.
It's natural, that you have feelings. And I want them to understand that I've been there, and you can still come out, on top.
Yeah.
And I was just really ready to share my story with the world and everything I went through because it was therapeutic.
Right.
It was therapeutic for me. like my podcast is all therapeutic to express myself, to talk about my feelings. Most men probably never be able to be as open as I am, but to the women who care about these men, or to the people who care about these men, they could get a better understanding of these type of men by reading my book, by listening to my podcast,
Yeah.
because I'm open. I'm an open book, and I'm not ashamed to put myself out there. Now I'm living first and foremost for me, for my purpose. Yes, I would love to have a wonderful lady in my life, a wonderful sister in my life. But I'm a man with or without a woman. So I just want these guys to understand that, it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to feel insecure sometimes. You want to get up out of that. Times I felt weak in my life. I feel powerless. But through growth and development, to constantly learning, to embracing the truth no matter how harsh it was, and just always trying to learn, always trying to be better, I'm able to live, and that's what inspired me to write my book, just to share my story with the world.
It's important because, how you're saying it, what you're saying, all these things need to be said. 1, 2, shared completely over and over and over again. Because for some whatever reason, I believe it's all generational. The men said, "Oh, well, you got to be tough," and and all these different things. And you hear big mamas are always talking about the boy's got to be the man of the house, and he got to be a provider. He got to do this and do that, and you can't be no punk sitting there, crying and different things like that. And it's just like so many generations before we were even thought of, we're already told that being hard or being, soft is one or the other. It's the only options you have. If you're not hard, you soft. If you're not soft, you hard. Like,
right. No middle ground at all.
There's no in between at all. Like, what would in between look like? Normal? Like, I'm just trying to get an understanding, because it's just, everybody says, because, my dad, or, the man that was in my life told me this was the way I was supposed to be. And I'm like, but to judge or even take the advice of one man is putting all your eggs in one basket and not really giving you a whole lot more options at the same time.
That's so true. That's so true. And I felt I was alone. That's another reason I want to share the story, because I felt I was alone for so long, and I realized there were so many men out there going what I'm going through. Just not courageous. I'm gonna say courageous enough to really share it, because, like I said, women are, our counterpart. Women and men, we both powerful. We need each other. One can't live without the other. I ain't talking about individually. I'm talking about as a collective.
Right.
And a lot of that got to do with the women, because the women from the environment we come from, a lot of times if a man is crying or he opens up to him, she may like, oh, he's weak. She may look at him as a punk sometimes, because it's cultural. Because I know in some communities, I'm gonna give you an example.
Yes,
if
sir.
I was with my lady, my sister, I was with my lady, and I was out, and a guy said some smart stuff, I ignored him. Depending on the environment we come from a harder environment. Some of the girls like, you don't let him talk to you like that, they hide it because they conditioned too. They might think, okay, he's a punk, or
he's more of a man if he walks away. First off,
see, right? You see exactly, because what happens if I do engage and this guy pulls out a gun and shoots me and both?
And now we both dead because of something crazy you said.
Well, there's some other communities, and I ain't trying to say the community is better than ours, because we've been conditioned different. We got a legacy, special problems.
Exactly.
Sometimes a man could actually call the police on another man just because a man threatened him. They be like,
Okay.
and the wife would be on the side like, yes, that's right, that's right. Now I ain't saying I
I'm
agree with
gonna
that.
call them and I'm just gonna hand you the phone kind of situation, right?
Right, but our environment is different because we like the environment is so important.
Yeah.
It really is because even me being enlightened, having knowledge of self, sometimes I have to catch myself because even if I'm willing to walk away, I know the mentality of a lot of these guys where I'm from,
Right.
and I know how they think. Like, okay, he ain't saying much, so I'm probably punking him or something like that. So sometimes you may take a stance, like I'm like I'm just doing this or that, you know, because it's crazy though. It's real. It's like it's it's a definitely a conundrum for real. It's like
It
it's
is.
dealing with this type of stuff
Yeah.
because men, contrary to popular opinion, we want a woman to care for us. We
Right.
want a woman that love us. We
Right.
want a woman that's really down for us too.
Right.
Most of us, a lot of the men that's turn colds because they probably got hurt by women. They have problems with their mama or something like
True.
that.
Very true.
Some guys say you crying over a girl, but you never know what those men do in the dark when their heart are broken or when their heart first got
Right.
broken.
Right.
Because
Right.
heartbreak can be as strong as a death. It really can be.
It can. It really can. Why? I'm like, why are there so many love songs about breakups? Hello, and but it's mostly men. Like they were mostly men at one point in time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, if they don't sing it, they don't say it, they either go to a substance, so it's usually drinking, or drugs, or pills, or,
Yeah. Or
sex.
just go through our life abusing women, or just saying I'm a
Exactly.
pimp women. I'm just gonna dog them all out. And you
Exactly.
might actually meet, and that's what's saying. You got a lot of people out here that's damaged.
Hmm.
They intentionally date people to damage. There's people out here that's like that. They'll see you have a light,
So
they'll see
damaged.
you have promise, and they'll actually come in your life and try to
Mhm.
steal your light and try to damage you and punish you because
Exactly.
they got unresolved issues. There's people out here that's like that.
And it's horrible because they still like that, and they
Yes.
and then they have children and they got their kids like that. So now it's just like the generational thing is just happening all over again, and it's going to take us a while to get away from it.
A big while. Now I do want to say this one thing about that, and because like I said, like you have the women that hate men because of a guy did them wrong and they out destroying men. It happens both ways. But I want to say this,
It
like
too.
in my book, I don't try to expose nobody but myself. I put out everything,
Right.
for, and I just told what I was taught even as a teenager.
Right.
I was taught as a teenager or encouraged as a teenager, even though I didn't do this. Though
Mhm.
it was very tough. It was very tough not to because you're human and you're going through those hormones and all those things. But I was taught that by a lot of older men in my family said, "Man, you need to get your practice in." So what did they tell me? They told me, hey, you get one of these girls around here. Sometimes one of these are low self-esteem girls. You just get your practice in. You know what I'm talking about. You
Yes, I
know,
do.
so, and that's where we're coming from. And I
Right.
know some women who like encourage their daughters, like, okay, do this, do that to get this out of this guy, or that guy,
Yeah.
and like we 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 just using each other, we're using each other, and just continuing a cycle of
Mhm.
hurting one another. If I had a
Mhm.
child, I wouldn't tell my son to do that because I wouldn't want nobody doing that to my daughter. It don't mean ain't
Right.
nobody gonna try. I know
No.
somebody gonna try.
Okay.
To
Of
understand,
course.
we got to lead by example. You got to understand that
Mhm.
we can't keep hurting each other and then expecting people to turn out right. It's not. A lot of us have potential, but it ain't gonna be too many roses growing from the concrete when
Right.
we damaging each other like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I wow, you did not go there. Okay. So, because for me, I had low self-esteem, but it was because my mother had low self-esteem. So I kind of took on
Yeah.
what she had
Yes.
because I saw how she would shut down as soon as somebody like named her in
Hmm.
public. And
Hmm.
she'd be like, "Oh, well, who is this and why?" And keep your head down, don't bring no attention to yourself. And that was just the thing. But at the same time, the worst thing I believe, and I believe wholeheartedly, men think have gone through this as well. If you are going through something, go through it by yourself. Don't let nobody know you're going through anything.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
This was told to the women in my family.
Mm.
This was also told to the men. But the men was babied by their mamas.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a
So
real
the
thing right there.
girls we had to come correct early as, a teenager. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm on my own
Yeah.
because I'm dealing with something. Oh, okay.
That's what Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu said. He said we said black women what they say raise their daughters but love their sons.
Mm-hmm.
So and then women period, but especially in our community, you can go back to
Oh,
Woody Nance,
forever.
all that stuff, like how the strong man got whipped down,
And
destroyed, and then
taken.
women wanted to protect their
Mm-hmm.
young and all that. Because my mom in high school, when she had heard that after that happened to me, I took a couple of days off and I got jumped. She had heard that somebody's car had got shot up at the school, and she said, "I don't want you to go back to that school." She said, "You already got your grades in. There's only a month left, and I don't want you to go back."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that, and I thought about, yeah, I could not go back, but I decided to go back on my own and face that. And even went in that school and heard people saying, "That's the one that got jumped. That's the one that got jumped." And it took a lot of strength of character for me to do that. But it's times that my mother, wanted to shield me, but me modeling myself after Brother Malcolm, and I said, I got to step into. I got to be a man. I got to deal with this. I can't let you, you can't be a man for me. I know you love me, mean well, but I got to go out there and deal with adversity on my own.
Yes.
And now she's glad that I did the things that I did. No, for sure.
That's my brother right there. Yes.
That's my brother too.
Because, wow. Like, dude, you speak like such a mature man that has been through the trenches, and I mean, not to say that you haven't, but to say that, to actually have this type of speech, to have this type of, like, you're debonair with it. I'm calm. I'm going to tell you, so that you understand what I'm saying. Like, I have that patience for you because I know what I'm saying is truth. I'm giving you wisdom way beyond my years, but I'm going to give you that. And I mean, man, sir, I want to have a concert just so you can speak and be like, yo, bros, listen to what I'm saying.
You got to be the hype woman though, because you keep
I am. I'm gonna be clowning all over that stage.
So even when I get tired, I say, okay,
like I'm tapping out.
Yeah. I might just move my head like you do it, like I get my wind back.
Okay, you be like, all right. You be like, where's the water at? Here, pass the mic. You're like, okay, I got y'all. What is y'all getting from this thing? I know y'all got some stuff. I'm like, did we rip off some band-aids? We ripped off some band-aids.
Band-aids. So
hey, some people, they get butthurt real fast, so it don't matter. You be like,
yeah.
Okay, you all right now though? Like, you gonna pout? You gonna lick your wounds? What's going on? But yes, dude, you have so much wisdom. It's so funny because I'm like, is he older than me? Because I'm like, are you sure? I think he lied to me about his age.
Yeah.
But no, like, you sound like so many of those men that are the greatest of all leaders, and you have, that slow to speak, slow to anger situation, like Malcolm X had, or whatever. And it's just like, you don't get that all the time. Like, you're like that diamond in the rough, just about, it's like, yo, where did you come from? Right? Like, who grew you up? This is where I
appreciate that means the most.
Yes, sir. I'm like, I want to give credit to your parents, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't see his parents. I see him. I see the light that comes off of you. I see the word and the wisdom that just it supersedes you like
Thank
so greatly. It's like, what is happening here? We talking? Is we really talking? I got you,
you.
bro.
Yeah. So
But
for sure.
I know I'm horrible. It's okay. We know. Um, if there's anything that you could say to my Mayan tribe, yes, it's men and women alike, because
Okay.
I don't discriminate
Right.
by no means. Age, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Race don't matter. We all need some type of encouragement, regardless of what we go through.
Oh yeah.
What can you do or say to encourage my Mayan tribe?
To the Mayan tribe, uh, I would say, I would say, I just think it's so important to find your purpose in this life. Like find a reason for living, because there's nowhere in this world that you can escape death. You can run from your problems. You can hide in the house all day, but death is inevitable. And most people, most of us, I know we go through things, and many of us are just gonna go commit suicide. And when I mean suicide, like a fast suicide, meaning you just shooting yourself in the head or you overdosing over some pills or something. A lot of us are just existing, unfortunately. And if you're one of those people just existing, I think it's so important for you to find a purpose so you can really live a full life. Because just existing in a way is just like a slow suicide, I would say. If you just existing, just living day to day, just not really finding meaning in your life or trying to understand life and trying to grow and develop. So I think you should really think about your life. Think about what you're good at. Think about what you like. Think about somebody you admire. Study those people or study a craft. Find a reason to live a meaningful life, because no matter how you look, no matter what your ethnicity is, no matter what your gender is, you special. We all are special, because once we go, there'll never be another one of us. I don't care what nobody tells you. You got to realize how unique you are. Once you're gone, there will never be another you. And I found my purpose in life through going through the darkest days of my life. As I mentioned earlier, I was on the brink of suicide, but fear helped me. Fear can be a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe it's not fear for you, maybe it's love for you that can keep you here. But I just think it's just so important for you. Just find your purpose, find your reason to live, and don't let no one put shackles on your abilities. Somebody told me when I was writing my book that I hadn't done enough to write a book. I disagreed with him. I disagreed with that person who said I didn't do enough to write a book. I said I overcame a lot. I overcame teenage depression. I witnessed a fatal shooting as a teenager, and that's very damaging to a young mind. That's scary. I was paranoid, worried about retaliation from the murder victim's family. I was scared to go anywhere. I was scared to live. But my mom, not wanting to leave my mom, being afraid to commit the actual act of suicide, and being brought to believe that if I committed suicide, I would go to hell. Those are the things that kept me here. Those were the things that gave me enough strength not to take my own life. So I had to find a reason for living. I had to find some kind of escape. And fortunately, my escape was through reading. And through my reading, I gained knowledge of self. Through my reading, I was able to develop myself mentally. Through my reading, I was able to get questions answered about the problems in my family, the problems that was going on in my community. Why this way, and why things are that way. So I got a lot of questions answered, and that gave me the motivation. That gave me the drive to live, to try to find solutions to my problems instead of just dealing with my problems. I found solutions to it. And if you're dealing with anything, I think it's always better to find solutions to your problems than just thinking about your problems all the time. Because a lot of times, just thinking about your problems, it'll create a lot of mental anxiety, and that could be very painful. Because stress can kill you. So I just stress just find a purpose in life. Be around people that got some positive energy. If it's somebody you look up to, you know, I recommend it being somebody that's doing some positive. Somebody you look up to, somebody that can help you get through your problems. Like I said, it wasn't a lot of people I had around me and my family that could really help me get through what I went through. So I had to use Malcolm X as a model for my transformation, as a model for manhood, as a model for black manhood in particular. And it was looking up to Malcolm X. It was reading that got me here to share my world with you all. And I just want you all to find a purpose in life. That's my message to you. Find a meaning, find a reason to live. Not just exist, find a reason to live.
Oh, wow. Sir. Sir. I'm speechless, and that don't happen. So, but if you could tell, please tell my Mayan tribe how they can actually reach out to you.
All right, Lady Myya, if you don't mind, can I just read like a quick page from my book, and then I'll do that.
Absolutely.
All right, so I just want to read this little thing. It tells you about some of the things I was going through in my book at that time. So I'm gonna start now. It says, on the surface, things seemed to be getting better, but I was still holding a lot in. Occasionally, I would still cry when I was alone because I felt alone. Even gaining knowledge of self didn't totally stop my depression. Sometimes my temperament would be like a roller coaster. I would be feeling high one minute and low the next. I masked all this from my friends and family, but inside I was dying. I still never really left my block other than going to the usual places like Burger King, school, and the store. I rarely spent time with my extended family members either. They often would be at Grandma Annie's house, but I would choose to stay home. Ironically, when I was home by myself, I felt free, like no one was watching me or making a mockery of me. Nevertheless, my self-esteem sunk lower and lower, and my depression grew deeper. Then my mom told me she would get me help. I told my mom that I sometimes felt like killing myself. She sat crying a river as she looked on hopelessly, listening to me, her only child, tell her that I wanted to take my own life. To her, I probably seemed so lifeless as I sat on the edge of her bed next to her. When I said I wanted to commit suicide, she was utterly surprised. She had no idea that I felt this way. The facade of happiness that I wore while around my friends and family was just that, a facade. Of course, like anyone who was very depressed, I had good times here and there, but for the most part, I felt empty. So that's an excerpt from Black Boy Rise. And to the Mayan tribe, you can find me on Facebook, TreyStyles. You can find me on Instagram, TreyStyles978. And you can find me on Clubhouse, TreyStyles. And lastly, you can find me on Clubhouse at, I think I said Clubhouse already, TreyStyles, but I'm on Twitter at TreyStyles17.
Oh, wow. You got good bit of handles there, sir. We can get to them, y'all. Let's reach out and touch y'all and just figure out how we can get closer to the wisdom, and the understanding of life. Because it seems like, he, even if he doesn't or hasn't like experienced what you're experiencing, I do believe that he has the empathy to understand where you are, and then to put it into words. The man has, he got words. He was reading all them books. Y'all did listen, right? Y'all was listening. Okay, just making sure. So, having that, and that really helps with the wisdom that he does have, because of he's not the norm, which is a good thing, because Lord knows the normal is boring. This is why I can't be that way.
That's right.
Definitely. But my Mayan tribe, you guys know the deal. You know the deal. Thank you so much, Trey, for being here. I really, really appreciate your wisdom, your words, your encouragement, your story. Just everything about you is just so dope, like really super dope.
There you go.
And my Mayan tribe, if you ever want to get a hold of him, you might want to get a hold of me first. And hey, I'll shoot a message over to him. If you didn't hear everything he said, what you can do now is you can rewind and play it again. He gave you his info.
That's
Is
right.
something you want to say, sir?
Yeah, because I did think I don't think I told him about my podcast. I forgot my podcast. You can find my podcast on YouTube and other platforms, Spotify as well. My podcast is called Black Man Talk. It's one word, Black Man Talk. And
Show
also
him the
you can
shirt,
find my
sir.
book. Say it again.
Show him the shirt.
Okay. Oh, the shirt. It's Black Man Talk right there. Okay. And you can find my book, Black Boy Rise, on Amazon. You can get it via paperback or ebook.
Nice.
Thank you.
Woo! Appreciate you. I'm going to have all the links for him in the description below. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. If there are anyone that is watching and you want to be a part of living your best life with LadyMyya, you can always hit me up. That is admin@ladymyya.com. That's MYYA. And you know why? Because your homegirl is special. You guys know that I am available to you guys at any point in time. There's a lot of links that I keep so that you don't have a reason not to be able to reach out. You never know what your situation is or how you're actually dealing with your situation, to whereas you can have some choices to dealing with them. So don't deal with it on your own. I have been in the same or similar situation with, like Trey, I should say.
Mhm.
I'm a little bit older, so it's probably been a little bit more, but not to say that it was any stronger than him at the same time. So if you are feeling some type of way, just speak to someone. I have it in my mind, hey, if you need a stranger to talk to, my number is it'll be below. If you want that, matter of fact, let me just give it to you. Okay, it's 214-529-0980. If you have just something that you want to talk to or talk about, hey, I'm here. I'm available. Look, you might have to get my voicemail first because I be doing these interviews, right? But I'll call you back. You guys, I love you to pieces. Thank you so much for subscribing, and we will see you guys later.